Peter, what do you say we give her yet another chance? Go over there right now and try to ask her some questions on the record.
Okay, I'd like to. I was saving some. I have a whole list of questions, and I was saving them for the flurry of town meetings she's now having. Now that she's anticipating the election, after having only 2 in a year and a half, she's now having what, 6 or 7?
Yeah, mostly on weekdays when middle class can't attend.
And on short notice, after her staff invites her supporters to attend.
Given the way things are going, I think our best chance of getting any more answers would be to go to talk to her after. Raising our hands, it just doesn't quite work.
I almost didn't make it.
Yeah. Shall we? I'll leave it up to you.
I would like to ask this question about the VA.
Okay, let's try it.
It's not long off. No, the negative cash It's less than 10 years, of course, a negative cash The earlier it's done, the smaller the click has to be.
Tell me, what do you think of her performance today as opposed to her performance that time at Epping and in Auburn?
Well, I think she's starting to learn from some of her obvious mistakes, and maybe we can take a little bit of credit because she's probably viewing your videos on my website.
Well, I know she's aware of what I'm doing online because she drew your attention to one of my comments.
That's right. She was reading your comments on New Hampshire Insider. You know, she doesn't think out of the box. That's another problem with Carol Shea-Porter.
Yeah.
We're living in a time of tremendous change and tremendous challenge, and she's picked up on this buzzword of change. Oh, we need a change. And to her, that has such a limited meaning because her whole approach is so limited. She's not an innovator, she's not an entrepreneur, but those are the forces driving the economy, and therefore she gets the economy wrong. She talks about taxes and revenue.
Yeah.
And the problem is that you can see that as a case in point, the fixed format that she uses for the town meetings. You know, it's just a fixed format which doesn't allow any dynamics of the process. She says she wants a conversation, but she can't promote it because she sticks to this fixed format of I'll lecture from the front and you're there in the seats like a good class, being very nice, sitting quietly while I talk to you, while I lecture.
Yep.
And then I open up for questions, and you can get one question in at a time, if any. And yet, if somebody else wants to pipe in and say, hey, that's not the way it is, like I felt doing a few times, you can't do it without it being accused of somehow having inappropriate behavior or being unkind or discourteous.
Well, I think you were very restrained.
I was, because you know, without that, you know, somebody will turn to you like a lady did after the Epping meeting and say, I think you lost votes there because you were discourteous or you were speaking sharply.
I doubt there were any votes there for you to lose.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So what are you ready for?
Another problem I had with Shea-Porter, she just loves to go on patting herself on the back for dealing with symptoms rather than trying to help develop a conversation, which she says she's trying to do but doesn't do. Rather than trying to develop a conversation to get at core problems, causes, and how we're going to address them. You know, she has a fixed menu of a mind in a dynamic world, and she's not up to the job.
So she's not really capable of a dialogue in the proper sense of the word.
No, and she's not capable of fostering it or nurturing the kind of conversation that she constantly says she wants. One thing to notice up front is that here we were in Manchester for a town meeting, which happens to be number 3 in her series, which means in the first year and a half of her term, she held only 2 town meetings. And this one in Manchester, which we just finished, is the first of a whole flurry of town meetings. She's all of a sudden programmed on short notice, 6 or 7 of them in a row.
Yeah.
Which suggests to me that here's a member of Congress who's getting worried that she may not be reelected.
Yeah.
I mean, these are not well-planned town meetings that are really to inform the public or hear from the public when there's such a flurry of them announced so suddenly with inadequate notice all in a row after having only 2 of them in her first year and a half as member of Congress.
One interesting fact that somebody drove my attention to was that, with the exception of the 2 today, almost all of them are on weekdays and midday when people who have 9-to-5 jobs can't make it.
Yeah, and that's another good point. You know, we've already noticed that she actually schedules these town meetings with a fairly short notice.
Yeah.
So people, you know, normally as a matter of courtesy, when I'm planning a public meeting, I allow at least 3 weeks notice. Well, you won't find 3 weeks notice with Carol Shea-Porter.
Well, you will for some of these coming up on the weekdays, but these past 2, there definitely wasn't anything like 3 weeks notice.
Well, the only ones that for which you can say there's adequate notice are the ones coming up in July, and there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
But there's a whole flurry that have just been announced on short notice, and that, as judging from the experience we've had so far with the first 3 town meetings, it appears she wants to allow more time to have her staff invite supporters to pack the meetings rather than give really adequate time for the ordinary voters, you know, her constituents, to come in any numbers.
Certainly does seem that the audience is not representative of the constituents as a whole.
No, it's not. So she's got her cheering section.
Yeah, that she has. And her sucking up section.